Tonight on Inside the Government, we want to focus on rural connectivity. And joining us is the Acting Director General of Kenya Rural Roads Authority, Engineer Philemon Kandie. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you. Welcome.
KERA, was set up in 2007, before the devolution kicked in. And we have seen, some sort of a tug of war, between some county institutions, or, some county government, saying, hey, wait here. Roads in rural areas, should be given to county government. Has this somehow complicated your mandate?
It has not complicated the operations. With the promulgation of the new constitution in 2010, there is the national roads, the road network in this country is classified into two. There is the county roads and national roads. The national roads are a critical network where the government actually are classified as in Class A, Class B, Class C. Under this arrangement, we have Class A and B being managed by Kenya National Highways Authority, which is, the total network is 44,000 kilometers. So we have the mandate under Kenya National Highways Authority of the international trunk road being of Class A and B, which is approximately 19,000. Yeah. Then KERA, Kenya Rural Roads Authority, has a network of 22,000. Then Kenya Urban Roads Authority has a network of 4,000. This brings a total of 44,000. So under KERA, we've got a mandate of now the roads, which is approximately 22,000, which is connecting the offshoots from the national trunk roads, or the international roads, which has connectivity to the rural roads. And these rural roads we serve actually, we have the opportunity of serving, accessing all our 47 counties, which are located throughout the country. And then we are also accessing to all the resources within the country, as well as services within the country. So we are enhancing the connectivity onto all this throughout the country.
When you look at the last 13 years of KERA, what would you say has been the biggest impact, in opening rural economies in Kenya?
The biggest impact is that we have access to resources. The countryside, we are a farming country, so we can now bring produce to the market. We have farms all over. We have also the market for the farm produce coming to the market. Then even in the tourism sector, we've got access now to even the tourism destinations. If you look at, name some few examples, we've connected Malindi to Salagate. There's also connection to Masai Mara, among others. So we have been able to access the resources within the countryside and to the services that are required. Like now, we are connecting all the 47 counties, or we are actually connecting the 45 million plus Kenyans to their rural homes. So, because when you look at our network, it is spread all over the countryside. So you can attest for the 10,000, which we are targeting to complete, and not leave alone the ones we are maintaining, which are not part of the 22,000, then we also support improving by even gravel construction of bridges on some sections where you could not access.
I'll be coming back to the performance-based contract, which has become, the global standards, of construction of roads. But, you've put it very well that, financial constraint is still a major challenge, in the expansion of road infrastructure in the country. What is your infrastructure backlog?
As KERA, like currently, you could even see, like even this financial year, despite us having commitments of 300 billion, the budget alone is about 30 billion. Meaning that for us to have these commitments done, we will require so many years to have them committed. That is why now we are looking at...
your budget allocation is about 10% of
yes.
what you need?
Yes. So, but it is spread over a period of time. So meaning that we've got to look for, government has to look for resources so that we can ensure that these are completed as scheduled. That is why now we have the alternative sources of financing where, like as KERA, we have implemented a project under Annuity, which is PPP, where an investor comes in to bridge the gap of financing, then we allow to invest on the road, then in return, we pay over some period of time.
What should be the alternative as opposed to, you know, banking on exchequer funding for rural roads expansion?
So the other method is just to go to the PPP arrangement, where we use the public to get resources. They invest in it. Then in return, they also utilize the road as a service delivery. And at the same time, road construction or having that is a big business, where you allow the private sector to come on board, they invest, then in return, they also get a service. And then that is how we can spur now the economy. Yeah.
You know, in a country that has, you know, a public-private partnership unit, you know, that is, you know, domiciled at the National Treasury, what incentives, you know, should government give to private investors to invest in rural roads? Or why would an investor, let's say, invest in a rural road in Nyandarua or Kisumu or Malindi, for example?
Tell me, we've got a lot of resources on those countryside. Go to Nyandarua here. We've got coffee, we've got tea, we've got a lot of milk, a lot of produce coming out of there. So in return, when you look at the economic returns on that road, it's quite okay. It's quite high. We will end up now getting our foreign exchange. And you know, we're an agricultural country, an example.
But how would I recoup my investment unless we go through the tolling system?
Yes, that is why now, like the invention which is there, like for the case of government, what they have developed, an annuity fund, where there is a charge on fuel, and then there is some money set aside so that you can be able to pay up for the usage of those resources. For the usage of, now, for the payment for the annuity for whoever has been engaged to do the infrastructure. So we have this as example. We've done like Isinya to Kiserian, and a bit of also in Kajiado. Yeah.
That is under KERA.
That's under KERA. Yeah.
Through Annuity.
Yeah.
Programming.
Yeah.
You see, when the road Annuity program was launched back in the year 2016, I mean, it was hailed as the go-to innovation towards, you know, ensuring that, you know, the level of concrete or tarmac roads in the country, you know, increase significantly. But the uptake, one would say, has been very slow. If we are talking about 200 kilometers, you know, out of the 10,000 that the government was, you know, targeting. Why would you say this has been the case?
Actually, it is several inventions. You look for value for money. And then what happened was, the annuity program, when it started off, I think the comfort for the users was not as it is. That is why they had to create a fund where there was secured money for it. But then, notwithstanding that, that's how we now moved in, like in KERA, they went to the low volume seal roads, where we've used now the development fund to do it. So it was a balance of give and take. Otherwise, we've got the first successful annuity program, which we have delivered at 200 plus kilometers. Yeah.
In Isinya?
Yes.
The Isinya to Kiserian?
Yes. And then to Imalo again in Kajiado. Yeah.
That will deliver 200 kilometers?
It's already delivered.
Is already delivered?
Yeah.
That is under KERA?
Yes.
How then do we accelerate the uptake of project under Annuity program, you know, from the experience that now you have gained as KERA?
I think it is ongoing. There is also a thought some are going to come on board. So, but all of it is under we've got the PPP unit at the National Treasury. So this is a complementing arm on other sources of financing. But now the other PPP arrangements which will come up under the same, that you call them also, that contractor will come in and construct. I know, if you have visited KERRA, there's also already the expressway which is happening. So that is the unit which is monitoring and which is approving the programs. Then they look at all the returns into it, and by the net effect is that we're going to gain as a country. Yes.
You know, from your experience with the KERRA road that has been constructed through an Annuity program, what are there loose ends, you know, that needs to be tightened in a bid to accelerate project under Annuity program?
That being the pilot program, I believe that the gains we've learned from there will aid us into implementing.
What are these?
The gains we have learned in terms of that, you know, when you have the first pilot program, you have
what lessons have you learned out of that project?
The lessons we have learned is that it is possible to continue. And once you have also the framework in terms of the financial institutions, we can be able to give the money, we can be able to lend. Because this is a partnership where the person comes in and constructs. Then as you're utilizing the service, then you end up paying him for a longer period for some period of time. Then so that he can, then you pay him now to recoup his expenses.
There was also, you know, a proposal that the government should also rethink its strategy towards, you know, the tolling system. And a case study was given of South Africa, you know, whereby, you know, tolling system has worked very well, and it has helped to, you know, to entice investors, you know, to come on board. Kenya is piloting this using the Nairobi Expressway that is under construction. Are there projects that you think can also go this direction that are under KERRA?
Not at the moment, but what we are thinking, because that is attractive, too attractive to the highly motorized roads. That is, it has huge traffic volumes to guarantee returns. So for KERRA, I do believe that the government has really invested so that you can have that opening of the rural roads, so that you can access to the same resources and services. Because when you consider in terms of traffic levels, it may not attract the tolling effect. But there are other methods which are being thought of. Like now, when you improve access to the rural road or you tarmac, you increase the value of land there. You increase the value of so much things. Then through it, maybe government should think of a way, how do we now leverage on that? Maybe we will, since I have access to your home or access to your farm, then your value of land goes up. So as a way of a return, I believe you should pay a small tax for us now to be able to expand to more to others and even to maintain the same. So those are thought out ways of getting resources to maintain and to expand the rural network. Because the traffic levels may not be able to, you may not be able to toll and get the returns out of tolling.
Last year we saw, you know, the Kenya Roads Board Act, you know, finally after years of deliberation, you know, finally coming into force and being enacted now into an act. And one of the proposals is to give the Kenya Roads Board, you know, powers to float infrastructure bonds, you know, to raise resources for roads construction. Have you approached Kenya Roads Boards with the intention of issuing or floating an infrastructure bond?
That is the reason why even the infrastructure bond was raised at the Kenya Roads Board, because we found it was established that, like us, in where we are less advantaged in the volumes of traffic and with a bigger network, and given that a road is a public service, it is a service to the public, then it could be good to invest. We have approached, and that is the reason why that is being raised. Like last year, example, we were able to offset our bending bills through the infrastructure bond, which is entirely on all the roads authorities, and KERRA, we gained some 50 billion.
Out of that?
Out of that.
When?
That was last year. So we look forward, maybe, if that happens, then our issue of bridging in financing will be a thing of the past.
According to, well, I absolutely do understand that you don't hold brief for the roads board, but I know you're in negotiations and in talks with them. When should we expect to have the bond, finally hitting the market?
That is the ministry which is doing it up. So
but as KERRA and other organizations, you have done your part.
Yes.
So you're waiting for that approval from, the ministry, National Treasury, as well as the Ministry of Infrastructure.
We are looking forward to that so that we can be able to implement our ongoing program.
You're saying that, out of that, you are expecting 50 billion shillings?
No. I did say that out of that, we expect the way they will bridge the gap between what we have, because all this is development money, and development money is funded through the National Treasury, and we all feed the system of the parent ministry. For our case, the State Department of Infrastructure. Yeah.
How much are you expecting from that bond, US KERRA?
My wish list is that I would get all what I require.
Well, which is impossible.
Which is like this year. The projection I have this year.
This year, this financial year.
Ending in June next year, is that I will deliver some 3,000 additional, like between now, I will, towards the 8,000 kilometers, then my budget is 30 billion.
30 billion shillings.
And then my projection is that I expect to pay out certificates of about 78 billion, meaning that I require about 58, is it?
58 billion shillings.
48
billion shillings. I'm still keen to find out, from the projected or from the proposed bond to be issued for roads construction in this country. As KERRA, how much are you hoping to get, from that bond?
I expect to get a difference. That is now the 48.
The 48 billion shillings.
Yeah. So that I can zero in projected bending bills. Yeah.
Is it practical?
We are optimistic.
You're optimistic.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the issue of, pending bills, and this has been a thorn in many government institutions. How do you plan to settle the billions that you owe many contractors as an institution?
We are committed. We normally do budgetary allocation. Then we are committed also to communicate to the National Treasury, of course, through the parent ministry, and eventually it goes through the budgetary process. And I do believe that after we've given out our intentions and we do plan, then those are now the methods within which the government will try to be able to clear what is possibly to be cleared, and then we'll be able to deliver the commitments
how much do you plan to clear in the current financial year, and what will be the balance?
I could only give my requirement, which I did say I have done communication. I look forward to it being cleared. But as you know,
the pending bills.
But as you know, that's a process which will take time, provided we have the delivery of service and we've communicated the necessary. So we look forward to it being clear. That is why those interventions or those inventions the national government is using will go a long way to ensure that that commitment is done. Yeah.
Are there projects that are halfway or quarter way complete, and but have stalled because of lack of funding from the exchequer?
Not in KERRA at the moment. We don't have.
Not in KERRA.
Yeah.
We absolutely do understand that COVID-19 is likely to impact significantly government, revenue collection, in the current fiscal year. And this will definitely have a major impact on the ongoing infrastructural projects. And we know for sure that development vote is the one that is likely to be hit hardest, by a drop in revenue collection. As KERRA, if there is a drop in funding from the exchequer this financial year, how will this impact your operations?
Of course, operations will slow down. Then right on our side, we have ongoing commitments which must be completed. So that is why now the government is looking into alternative ways of financing. But then now, even on our own delivery of service, I told you we look at the entire network and see if you have some resources which are inadequate for the entire network, then you prioritize on the sections that you do want to implement so that you can get value for money. And then by having the connectivity looked throughout in the whole network. So that is exactly, you optimize. When the resources go down, you optimize on what you have to ensure that delivery of service is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know there is a freeze in terms of a new project.
Yeah.
And this order was issued by the president early this year. How has this affected, the rollout and the implementation of your project, at a rural level?
We are only implementing the critical ones where they are ongoing commitments. Then for any other network, we've got also some funds allocated to us, A, which is funded by Kenya Roads Board, which we ensure now that we meet the other costs routinely. Like in your own house, you sweep every day. So it's like the routine maintenance. So we combine the routine maintenance and sport improvement on the sections where we are unable to have development money. And then all of it is to ensure that the roads are motorable.
And when would you expect to complete, all the projects that are ongoing so that you can embark on new projects?
So the timelines of most of the projects is continuous. Some have been completed. Some are even being completed in the next 2 years. So since the embargo on the new projects, so there are ongoing commitments, I do expect that within the next 2 years, we are completing all of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we should not expect any new project from KERA before the year 2022?
Not necessarily. We are saying that we've also got maintenance money, mm-hmm. which is mm-hmm. appropriation in aid.
But this is for already completed projects, not for new projects, eh?
You term a project is not necessarily bitumen, putting to bitumen standards. But we are saying that there are some routine maintenance or periodic maintenance or sport improvement, mm-hmm. which are still projects, but not development projects. But they go hand in hand also in ensuring that there is motorability of the network, mm-hmm. yeah, throughout the network.
Mm. As we wind up this interview, what do you think as KERRA should be done to accelerate the construction of rural roads in this country?
So what we only need is we enhance our supervision on site. We improve the cash flow for the contractors as anticipated in the contract. Then we've got some certain challenges also we have had on relocation of services on certain locations. So meeting those costs is that we've come together with government agencies who deal with that so that we can collate and be able to synergize to ensure that programs progress as required. And of course, the most important is to meet the cash flow expectation so that as contractors now are able to work, then we can be able to meet the obligations as an employer, KERRA, in paying for the service. So that through it now, they are able to continuously perform their role as the assignments which they have been given or the contract which they have been awarded.
Let's also talk about vandalism. That
exactly.
has also been a challenge. When it comes to the maintenance of new roads. How are you dealing with these? And of course, you have also touched on the issue of axle load. How do you also plan to effect, the issue and regulations around axle load?
I could start with axle load. There's already a law which has been passed, which is very punitive. So we will continue sensitizing the users, the transporters, so that they can actually comply with the laid down laws, because it's so punitive to overload. 2, about the use of vandalism. Because like many of our rural roads, because we are doing the road along the existing road reserve, we are not aligning them. So some certain sections of the network is that we have reduced the speed limits because we do not have funds to acquire. And then in some sections that we do not want to do a lot of costs because we have reduced the cost per kilometer to about 40 million per kilometer. In that sense, we did not go to an elaborate way of even cuts and fills, but we are going to a pavement where it can carry that strength required. So by so doing, there are some certain sections where we have reduced the speed limits and installed a road signage where they are meant to warn you that you reduce on your speed, or there are some installation of guardrails. So with our current vandalism, you get people cut those and they go and sell.
Scrap metal.
Scrap metal. So what is the resultant? Safety is compromised. Then you end up with accidents where we didn't need, where you didn't require. So through the program,
law enforcement officers
to deal with this. With the law enforcement officers, and also the system of performance-based contracting, we want now, on completion of the road, we will engage, the same contractor will be maintaining the road, and he will ensure those facilities which are there. Then we want to engage the locals to be part of the maintenance of the road, so that if you are given a certain section and you are from the locality, then by so doing, we are also employing them so that they can get a livelihood.
Maintenance of road,
yes,
furniture.
A livelihood, and then now they are able to know even who comes to steal the road furniture. But we look forward to educating them that should you find an access road which has been done, should you find anything which has been even improved, let's protect it because it is our road and it will use it for our good. Thank you very much.
Very good. Philemon Kandie is the Acting Director General, Kenya Rural Roads Authority, joining us on Inside Government to help us understand what they are doing as a road entity to improve roads in the rural areas. You have heard it from him. O'Brien Kimani is my name. Thank you for your time. We'll do this again on Thursday, same time. Bye for now.